All right, Board Member Baldwin, a lot of our constituents are coming into the room.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday afternoon conversation. Thank you all for joining. We're going to give just a few more seconds for folks to join in. I see some people are still connecting to audio. We did try something different this month with a meeting at noon. So definitely eager to hear your feedback. You can just drop it in the chat to see, does this time work for you? Does it work better? Shall we go back and forth? Just curious about the convenience of this time. Typically, we do it in the evening. So if you can drop that in the chat, we'll collect that feedback and use that for planning moving forward. Again, welcome, welcome. I hear a couple more people entering in. I see a few more people connecting to their audio. So thank you all for joining this April community meeting. The way that we will do this is I will start with giving just high level updates. Then we will turn it over to Keith, and Keith will manage us doing community questions and feedback. We'll ask that everyone keep their questions and comments brief, just so we can allow everyone who wants to have the opportunity to speak. And we will do this every month. And based on your feedback, we will either bounce back and forth between noon and evening, or settle in on a time that works best. But again, we were thinking that variety would help. And based on the number of people joining, it looks like we are around the same amount of people that we gather in the evening. So again, my name is Aretta Baldon. I am your District 2 representative for the Atlanta Board of Education. And welcome everyone. So if you have not already dropped in, whether or not this time works better for you, or whether or not it's balanced between evening, go ahead and drop that in the chat. And also, while you're in the chat, just give yourself a shout out and let me know who you are, who you're representing, who you're with. Give yourself a shout out. And again, this is just to let me know who we've got in the room. I'm going to start off with an update on the superintendent search. And for those who are not aware, the board has extended the search for the next superintendent of the Atlanta Public Schools. And after careful consideration, this decision reflects the board's commitment to leveraging the strong leadership profile developed and substantial community input. The board's decision underscores our determination to find a superintendent who not only meets, but exceeds the expectations set forth by the community and the leadership profile. This approach demonstrates the board's dedication to excellence and its resolve to ensure that the future leader of Atlanta Public Schools embodies the qualities and vision necessary for the district's success. The board is committed to a deliberate, transparent, and inclusive search process aimed at finding a candidate who aligns closely with established leadership criteria. Throughout this process, the board is working in collaboration with its recruitment partner, Hazard Young Attia and Associates, often referred to as HYA. The board believes it's imperative to keep the faculty, parents, students, and general public informed throughout this process and providing regular updates. And the board looks forward to working with the new superintendent to ensure we continue on the path towards educational excellence. And on that note, the board is proud to extend interim superintendent Dr. Danielle Battle's contract through the end of the year, through the end of this year, 2024. Now, you may be asking yourself, how can you stay updated on developments aside from regular board meetings and community meetings? So we are committed to transparency during this process and will keep faculty, parents, students, and general public informed through regular updates. To learn more about the board, you can follow the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Keith, if you'll drop those in the chat, that would be great. And then you can also follow Atlanta Public Schools on those same media vehicles. So just a quick highlight in terms of what are those key components that we're looking for in a superintendent candidate as pulled forth from the leadership profile. We're looking for a chief communicator. We're looking for someone who's effective at formulating, advocating, and bringing communities together. They will have to be effective at understanding the issues while ensuring that they can collaborate and find synthesis therein. We're looking for equity driven. And when we hear equity, we oftentimes hearken to race, but APS is right sizing the district to bring about substantial change. We want evidence based. We want an individual that has to. We want an individual that has to be able to utilize data to make decisions and to allow that data to focus on student outcomes. We want someone who knows Atlanta, and we want someone who is experienced. So that's a quick update on the superintendent search. It has been extended, and the contract with Dr. Danielle Battle has been extended. Moving on to spring Go Team elections. Those are happening now and they're about to wrap. So if you have not voted in this year's Go Team's elections, it is important that you do that. The Go Team is the governing body of the school. So it is at the local level, at the school level, where budgets are discussed and approved, all school level activity that is approved and happens at the Go Team level. So those elections are open until the 25th. And Keith, if you can drop a link in to the voting page. On the voting page, you would click in for your school and then go through the voting process. So again, that is open through April 25th. A couple quick board updates. Budget Commission, their next meeting is May 16th. And we just had a budget commission. We have those meetings on the third Thursday of the month, and they typically are around noon. They typically happen at noon. And they will be bringing forth a tentative budget approval in May, and then we'll have a round of what used to be regional meetings. So they used to go to like 3 to 4 different locations throughout the region of APS. But they found that doing them virtually has actually been a little bit more impactful in terms of able to gather a larger audience. And so those will be held virtually. And then again, the next budget commission meeting will be May 16th at noon. May 16th is committee day. So in addition to the budget commission meeting, there will also be a board development meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning and a policy review meeting at 4 p.m. There will not be an audit committee meeting. That next meeting will not be until June. June will be the next audit committee meeting. Graduation, it's that time of year. Yay. So the schedules are posted online on the APS website. If you go online, you will see the graduation schedule. I see Principal Wade has just posted for everyone. Not sure what he said, but y'all check it out. Oh, he said he's here. Hey, Principal Wade.
Hello to everyone.
So I didn't mean to call you out there. I just saw your name pop up after graduation. So again, graduation schedules are posted. The other thing I want to shout out is that summer programming registration is open. So summer programming, you do need to register. Classes start June 3rd. That registration is open. So go ahead and go online and get that done. I believe it is a full day, with the beginning of the day being academic and the second part of the day being a little bit more on the enrichment side. The other classes that we have available and free to the public are GED classes and English as a second language classes. There's also a link that Keith is going to drop in. So if you want to register for those classes, that is available and free to the public. And it's got information depending on the age that you're coming in, what particular documents you're going to need. But it starts as young as 16 and goes all the way up. All right. So we've got a lot of things going on in the district, with District 2 being in the center. I do believe we've got a number of different people here from various places across the city. So the first thing that the administration is working on, well, not the only thing or the first thing, but one of the things the administration is working on is they are in the community with ideas around Hollis Innovation and H.J. Russell. So there have been a couple community meetings that have been held that have brought forth some ideas about what would it look like if the middle schools were combined. Community input is being received and taken in terms of what are the challenges that presents, what are the advantages that presents. There's also a conversation around, well, what does it look like if it doesn't happen? But the bottom line is there are conversations around the Washington cluster, around the middle school specifically, and how do we set up our scholars best for success? And how do we do that with all the community engagement, the community input, and again, doing what's best for scholars? So if you have not attended those meetings, I believe the conversations are still happening. Input is still being requested. Input is still needed, and we ask that you do provide that input. You can do it via Let's Talk. You could also do it by communicating directly with our with Travis Norvell. You can certainly send it to me, but it's also important that the administration knows, because this is sitting right now in the hands of administration. So this is an idea that is currently being discussed. And when they are at a point where they feel there is resolution and that there is a recommendation to be made, then the recommendation will come before the board. So I certainly want to hear everyone's input, but I also want to make sure that the administration, who is currently in the process of doing this engagement and figuring out what will the recommendation be, we need to make sure that they hear as well. Additionally, there are some zoning conversations happening around two other middle schools in the district, a different part of the district, but this would be Woodson Park and John Lewis. So again, there's conversations there. Both of these this one specifically is around capacity. And how do we best utilize all of our facilities, and how do we best service our students, again, knowing ahead of time, upfront, and building with the community in terms of what's best. So if you want to submit feedback, solutions, and ideas, please do that to the administration. I want to hear them as well, but make sure administration knows, because they are the ones that are in the process of working through what these recommendations will be. Now I want to give a couple shout outs. There's some exciting things happening in the community. First of all, there's this amazing highlights for what's going on with Booker T. Washington. I'm going to scan this and we can send it out to the larger group. And this is something that the Booker T. Washington team put together just to highlight what's been going on over the 23-24 year around instructional support, new teacher induction, school-wide highlights, as well as cohort highlights. So we're going to give Washington some shine. And I'm going to ask if anyone wants me to give your school, your organization some shine about what's happening in District 2, send it to me, and let's make sure that everybody knows what's happening. I also want to shout out the MPUT Education Chair, Sharifa Jackson, as well as Casey Venning in the Hay community, and a number of families in the MPUT District 2 and just larger community who came together. There was a need. There were some students, honestly, that needed some funds for prom, and the community came together and raised over $3,000 overnight. And that means a lot. That means a lot that we were able to mobilize and get that done. And I look forward to us mobilizing and getting other things done that's going to impact our students and our students' outcomes. And some say like this isn't academic, but there are things that contribute to your academic life, your academic experience, and I'm just happy that we were able to help out and help fill that need.
And we really
Um,
appreciate that. We really appreciate that. I just want to tell everyone in person, we really appreciate it. We will not turn any students away because of your help. We were able to afford it because of your assistance. Thank you from the MPU.
Excellent. So again, thank you, Sharifa, for sending out the all call. Thank you, Casey, for because you tell Casey something, she gonna pick that baton up. She gonna run. She gonna run, and she gonna run into the race's finish. So thank you for that. I also want to shout out the Westside Future Fund. They did a huge volunteer project down JP Brawley this past Saturday. Um, and they did some work. Also, there was a community fair that was sponsored by Work Done, as well as a nice community celebration after that in St. Mark, where Reverend Winston Taylor hosted the community, and that was it was nice to see folks out and beautifying the community. And then as I was coming home, I saw a large group of folks. I'm not sure who they were, but they were walking down MLK by Washington. So if you know who that organization is, please tell them thank you for the work that they're doing and have done in the community. Lastly, two things that have been brought to my attention that I want to share. The Atlanta Thrive is hosting a house party tomorrow at Hollis from 5 to 7, and the theme is Don't Diss the Disability. So Atlanta Thrive is hosting a house party at Hollis Innovation from 5 to 7. And so join them if you are able. And then their KIP Metro is having a parent expo on Saturday, April 27th at 1038 White Street. There is a registration link for that. Travis, you have something that you want to share? Or is that an old posting?
No, I was just trying to answer some questions in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Look at that. Working in the background. I appreciate you. So that concludes my just overall highlights and updates. And so now I'm going to pause. But before we go to questions, if there are any additional principals, I can't see exactly who's in, or any additional principals that want to pop on, say hello, and make any announcements, and or administration, if I missed anything that you feel is pertinent that needs to be shared, let's use this time now for that. Okay, seeing that there's silence, we're now going to move to the next part of this conversation. And I'm going to turn it over to Keith. And so, Keith, will you let us know how you want to proceed with questions?
Yes, ma'am, Board Member Baldwin. So good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our District 2 community meeting for the month of April. We do look forward to engaging directly with constituents, to engage directly with Board Member Baldwin and APS administration. And so, as we typically do for all of our community meetings, if you do have any questions, concerns, anything that you would like to, again, address with Board Member Baldwin and administration, we do ask you to raise your hand. And we will place you into a queue, and we will call on you as your hands are raised. And so again, we have allocated 1 hour for this community meeting. And so we do ask you that if you have any questions concerning, that you get directly to those, so we able to hear from all those who wish to speak. And so I see Miss Cindy has her hand up first, and so we will start with her, and we will go from there. Good afternoon, Miss Cindy.
Hey, Miss Cindy.
Good afternoon. How you doing? I got two questions. Okay, I heard about the superintendent search and it's been put off, but I haven't heard anything about the improvements that they're going to make to the special education department because there are still areas that are lacking, like schools are still taking a little too long to get kids their IEP, get the SST meetings up, to get kids um at least considered for special education. And then there are some gaps in the system with some services. So I guess the question is, what are we doing to work to improve, first of all, getting an IEP for a child, or at least get the process started in a timely manner? And what are we going to do to improve the services for special education for the kids that are in it? My second question is considering the food in the cafeteria. I was at M. Agnes Jones on yesterday, and I was talking to the workers, and they stated that there's supposed to be some changes, that everybody is supposed to go to come off of the contracts and be totally APS. How would that improve the nutritional system as far as the lunch? Because the kids are complaining, so are the parents.
Okay, excellent question, Cindy. I'll start with the first one. We are not waiting for the new superintendent to address the special education challenges. That is something that Dr. Battle is currently working on. It's also currently under audit, and we will get an audit report in June in regards to that. If you are experiencing challenges around receiving services or evaluations for your child, then I ask that you email the principal. You just email me, just make it known so we can address those specific people and individually as it comes up. But the system as a whole is a focus for Dr. Battle. Around food services and nutrition, yes, we are currently bringing nutrition back in-house. And a lot of that is around the feedback that we received from parents and students around the fact that they just were not happy with the nutrition. Having it in a house, we will have more control over it. And then we will also, everyone will be our employees. So when we give bonuses to our employees, they will not be left out. They will be included as they will be APS employees. The expectation is that the food quality and satisfaction will improve. And I am looking for what that goal is to be from, we just recently talked about this with operations in terms of what is their goal in terms of to go from what percent to what percent in terms of increasing lunch and breakfast participation.
Thank you.
And if I did, okay. And you can reach out to me directly, Cindy, if you have any additional questions.
All right. Thank you, Miss Cindy. Our next speaker is Waukesha. Then we'll move to Mr. Dyer. Good afternoon.
Waukesha. Hey, welcome. I believe, are you our new council president?
I am the interim council president for PTA.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm here in Waukesha capacity.
Okay.
I have a question. When are you guys, and Travis, don't get me if you won't hear, if I ask this repeatedly, I just want to make sure we clear. When are you guys planning on having the conversation about the overcrowdedness in the Midtown cluster? Because we are seeing some changes and some things that want to take place in other clusters, but if we would relieve that cluster and really be honest about the development that is all around this city, we don't really have to make any moves, until we see things through. So my question is, when will we start having the conversation about Midtown and address some of that overcrowdedness that the principal have expressed year after year?
So I'm going to give you a general answer, and then I'm going to pass it on to Travis. We need to finish facilities master planning. And that would address not just one-offs in terms of this school, this cluster, right? We need to look at the entire district as a whole and have some tough conversations. have some engagement, have some real conversations about what's going to be best for us moving forward. I'm not sure when the next facilities master planning meeting is scheduled. But that is my desire as a board member, is for us to look at it in totality, to look at the big picture, and not necessarily band-aids, right? So I'm going to now pass it on to administration if there's some specific dates, because I know there are conversations that are happening in pockets, but we have not. I don't know if we have the date on the calendar for the larger facilities master planning conversation.
No, but you're right in capturing the kind of system-wide look at it. I think we started that conversation with Budget Commission last week, that a lot of our challenges and discussions shouldn't be done in silos related to saving money with the budget or addressing capacity challenges. There are some big conversations that need to happen across APS strategically. And so we will be having those this fall, and hopefully starting teeing some of those up even sooner than that, hopefully.
And Waukesha, we're also at a point where we're about to look at the next 5 years in terms of strategic planning. So having those aligned strategically and really looking ahead is going to be beneficial. It's going to be really important that we have community feedback, because it's important that the visions and values are reflective. But it's also important that we understand that if this is our vision and value, then this may be the trade-off, right? So if this is what we value, then this is what we may lose out on, just in terms of having some real conversations in terms of the budget and the strategy and our capacities.
So, Aretta, I know the budget is one thing, and we do place, the budget is going to be honest of each individual school. But I would recommend that everybody go to these GO team meetings. I can tell you Dr. Bachman and her GO team have expressed concerns about how they maneuver. I have family in the Midtown cluster, so this is why I'm raising along with other clusters. And I know that we want kids to be able to attend walkable, high functioning schools. We have great schools on the west side and the south side. I know you already know that. But we really have to think about relieving, these other schools, like you said, because 30 kids having to do asynchronous, that's unacceptable. We can do something, and we got to have those tough conversations. And let's not wait until the fall, Travis. Let's kick some off, the late summer or something. I know Dr. Baldon has no problem with having those hard conversations. That's why we all respect her. But let's not wait, because they're going to be talking about scheduling, and we're going to go in the conversation late. So if we want the kids to have a productive school year, we need to be ahead of, making sure the schedules and everything is set, and we have enough teacher to student ratio to where every child in the classroom, get their needs met accordingly. So, Alan, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for that, Waukesha, and thank you for the shout out for the GO teams. Again, the GO team elections are currently active and open through the 25th. So if you have not voted, make sure you vote, as well as check out your GO team meeting schedule. All right, Keith, I'll be quiet.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Waukesha. Our next speaker is Mr. Dyer, followed by Ms. Sherry. Good afternoon, Nate.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. My concern is the recent meetings that we had at Hollis and I guess it's Russell, and the community said no. We don't want any type of merger or closure. If anything, we want Hollis to be fortified, to be given more resources, more teachers, what it needs to be successful. You do know that the Washington cluster is inundated with at least 10 KIPP schools within a 5-mile radius, and they're not performing any better. As a matter of fact, they're doing worse. And they're pulling 5,135 kids from the Hollis cluster. Now, the guy that came out with the numbers, who's saying that there's going to be a decline in enrollment, well, he didn't account for those 5,000. I found that to be problematic and misleading. Furthermore, if you lose the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade like they're talking about, you're basically setting Hollis up to be closed, where Centennial or this group Tapestry can get the building. The community stated years ago, if there was to be a school of choice, a middle school of choice, it would be at the time it was Kennedy. Now it's Hollis because of the larger blueprint and it's more conducive to a middle school experience. That was the wrangling going on. Brown has small classrooms. That would be more suited for the elementary students. And I just, my question in all of this, well, before I go there, we brought to the board's attention the issues going at KIPP with the leadership. KIPP, Atlanta Collegiate, where they had distribution of porn, hazing in the band, of course, suspension of students without due process, and just bullying all across the board, and inept leadership. So if you're going to fund these institutions, please, there needs to be some accountability over them. But the board wants to pass the buck and say, hey, it's their board. But you have control if you're giving them the money, the funds to function as a school. So my question to the board member Baldon, where does she stand? I know it hasn't come to a board or whatever, but it's in your backyard. If you understand anything, a loss of students means a potential closure on the students. You did it to Thomasville. So I just want to know where your vote is. And those kids were facing homelessness, and now they're without a school. Now, in this environment, we have billions of dollars of development coming in, even a new Sydney hotel. There should be expansion and growth of education, not closing and merging. So where do you stand as it relates now? Are you with the community where we're saying we don't want this, or you have to wait and see and figure things out until big business gives you the answer? Thank you.
Well, that was a loaded question. I don't necessarily agree with all the things that were stated that as facts in that situation. No, because I do appreciate facts. And so one of the things, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because I'm going to answer your question, but all 5,000 children that attend the KIPP Metro Atlanta schools are not coming from the Washington cluster. And we will send you a deck on that spells that out. But in regards to where do I stand on this idea around making the I'm answering. Can you
go ahead? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on, Nate. Let her respond, and then if you have anything.
Okay, gotcha.
So as I was saying, where I stand is I don't believe that this conversation is anywhere near a recommendation. I believe that something needs to be done. It needs to be done with community and not to community. And I believe that the conversations are starting, but I don't think they're there. They're not at a place of a recommendation of what's going to be best for the students. I've heard both sides. I've heard input. And I don't have where I stand because there currently isn't a recommendation in front of me. But what I encourage the administration to do is to continue the conversations with the community and to come to me with a firm recommendation. And then at that point, I will gladly tell you where I stand when there's something to stand on. So we can
say your track record speaks to you're going to vote in favor of against the community, and that's just the track record. That's why I posed the question. But as far as the
thank you for your input.
I'll just say this: as far as the students, the Washington cluster is surrounded by 10 KIPP schools. That's all I have to say about that. So you talking about the numbers will show that they come from other places, but there is no recruitment arm supporting what's going on in the Washington cluster, and that's problematic. And then you come with this conversation, whether it's made it to your level or not, it should not be had. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question.
All right, thank you, Nate. And so we'll go to Ms. Sherry and then followed by Dion.
Hey, Aretta. I attended all 4 community meetings. And
hello, Ms. Sherry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I said hello back to you.
Okay, hey. And the community didn't agree. They also wanted the schools to stay as is. And When we had the facilities meeting with Chino, and we asked them, were there any fixings or any changes to the Washington cluster? We were told no, and this is not a good thing. It looks discriminatory. It looks like an injustice. They're targeting marginalized, modest community parents. I talked to the owners of Magnolia Park. They're not closing. They're not ready to sell, so they're working on repairs. John Amon, Westside Future Fund, has a lot of development coming. So the climate is, we probably just have to refigure Midtown, those other clusters, and just see where kids are and free those clusters up. And it could bleed over to Hollis and H.J. Russell. So I just want to put it out there that we have the room in our community with all the amenities in our community, trillions of dollars, World Cup coming. It just looked discriminatory and bad to, modest community children and parents. And we are here to stand for them. So we want to partner with you on the board and everybody else, and so we could ensure that this don't happen. Because we do have the room. There's development.
Yes, there is definitely room. There is development. And I believe we actually started some interesting conversations at the last meeting when someone had talked about like it was a radical idea of you bringing all of sixth grade together. At one point, there was an idea about independent middle school, separate entrance, different principals. I mean, there were a lot of ideas that came up, but it happens when we come together and we talk, right? And we think about, okay, if this is our challenge, if these are our challenges, then what can be our potential solutions? And we do it together. So I thank you for that. I thank you for that spirit of wanting to work together, because that's exactly what we need. And there is absolutely no intention on my part of closing anything. It's about how do we make this experience better, right? How do we better prepare our middle schoolers for the next step in terms of giving them a true middle school experience? That doesn't necessarily have to happen by combining schools, but that is something that they want. So it is something that we have to solve for, and whatever solution we have, how do we give our middle schoolers a true middle school experience? And then how do we concentrate on our elementary children so that they're getting everything that they need and we're not being distracted by disciplinary or older kid problems in an elementary school, right? So ultimately, there is a conversation that needs to be had. And if we all come to the table together, then we can develop it together. So that is my intention. That is what I want. And I encourage the continued collaboration and conversations. Thank you, Sherry.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. Our next speaker is Dion, followed by King. Good afternoon, Dion.
Hi, thank you for having this conversation. I had 2 comments and 1 question for you. Regarding, Midtown just went through a new school redistricting, kind of some of these tough conversations with all of our elementary schools. I would just advocate during these conversations, make sure you have both sides of the conversation. So if APS is going to push this through, please talk to the communities about their wants. If this is going to happen, sometimes people only focus on trying to not get it to happen, and they forget to have that other part of the conversation, not knowing it's going to happen. So please, 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 you guys, even if you don't want this to happen, share your wants if this happens. I think that's really important because this is an opportunity. Travis, I hope you help engage that, because sometimes we know you just can't stop something from happening, and learn from some of our mistakes. The other thing is, I saw somebody put a safety question in the chat. I jumped on the NPUF meeting a couple nights ago because we are also a walking community with our elementary school. We've had problems with high-speed traffic and crosswalks not being repainted, and you can't even see the crosswalks. Councilman Juan was on the call, and he said 311 is not working. So he said to reach out to him directly. So maybe it's worth reaching out to your councilman, it's been more than a year, and we've had some real challenges in coordinating with Applin Council and 311 to get some of these safe walking things to school. So maybe that's something APS, Travis, you can help bring the groups together, because you're seeing it's a problem all across the district. And we're checking off all the boxes, and it's still not helping. So the last question, Aretta, and I appreciate some of the questions that you asked last Thursday, I believe it was, at the budget meeting regarding nutrition. I think that was last Thursday. You brought up a couple great things, and I really want to advocate. We have funding for that fresh fruit and snacks program, and funding we get for supper and dinner program. And I've been tracking this the last 4 years. We are not leveraging those resources. And in some cases, we're losing some of those. Godot has some great how to use those monies and best use them. I know we are bringing nutrition in-house, and I was really sad to hear that we are not going to be focusing, or I forget the exact wording, but that supper dinner program is going to be a lower priority. I understand that it is a big job. I understand it is $50 million restaurants more or less opening across the district, X amount of locations. I know it's a heavy lift, but I do know, some of our kids are at school from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I don't want us to, one, lose the federal funds, and two, I know that 50 plus schools qualify, or they did at least last year, for the supper dinner program, and we're just still not leveraging those resources. We got to figure it out somehow. So I'm hoping you can ask about how we can do that. I know you specifically asked about some of the things about lunch. Can they go back? Can they save it till later? There's got to be something, because this is a federal program that's used across the nation. Is it a lunch bag that they take, a meal to go, something?
So I remember seeing that. It's not exactly top of mind, but I do know that some of the schools will be utilizing it. I will stress with the administration that it would be most advantageous if we use all of the funds to get it done. So around the supper for dinner and the fresh fruit snacks. So I will definitely elevate that. Regarding the safety and the safety walks, this basically getting to and from school safely. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. I see you on he sent me, they have been doing some work within the NPU and neighborhood association. And so they have asked that I elevate a speed cam on MLK. And I know that there were some restrictions when we initially okayed the program. And we did the first 10 locations because something was already done. So I just need to send it to administration and ask them what are the next steps in moving this along and ensuring that by the time our scholars come back to FL Stanton, that hopefully we have those things in place. So thank you for and if you want to speak to, if I butchered the idea and you want to speak to it, please come off mute and speak to it, Mr. Mohammed, right quick, in terms of the ask, the work that you've done and your ask for the MLK.
Yes, yep. Hey everyone, this is Mohammed. I'm the former chairperson for MPUK. I'm the current president for the Mosley Park Neighborhood Association. We've been having a lot of crashes on MLK over the last few years after the MLK corridor was reworked from a 4-lane road to a 2-lane road. So we've gone out as a community and just started doing things on our own to improve the neighborhood. But one piece that we really need, we've been working with Propel ATL, who is now known as Alta. But they've been working on the safety plan for our community over the last 6 months. That safety plan will be published next month. We've been in collaboration with our city council member as well in trying to slow down traffic on MLK. So we have new signs that have been put up on MLK. But one piece that we really need is the speed camera, because FL Stanton is right off of I-20. So just so many cars come off I-20, they don't realize that they're going into a neighborhood and the speed limit is only 25 miles. So they were coming at 50 miles per hour. The street starts to curve and these cars are flying into homes. They're flying into light poles. They're flying. If you ever drive on MLK close to FO stand or see a sky, you'll just see a lot of damage. So uh, thank God that many of the kids have not been hit, or just anybody walking down the street has not been hit by a car. But I really think this is a good opportunity while FL stand is being renovated to try to implement a solution before those students come back. So, but yeah, that's just a brief I'll give. I'll shot you an email as well. Just trying to figure out who I need to speak to and who that stakeholder is that I need to get that ball rolling. And again, our city
So
council.
I'm going to send it out. Jason Dozier is your city
Yeah,
councilman, right, for that area?
we've already lined up everybody that we need on the board. That side is just
Cannot hear.
APS is the only.
So I will send it to the superintendent, and her person that she will send it to will be probably our operations guy. Larry would probably get it from there. I will copy you on the email that I sent to the superintendent so that she will and see that. I may also put it in Let's Talk and put you as a response, but I'm going to forward that on and get that moving. And at least so we'll know what is necessary, if it's something as simple as the request and here's the study, or if there's some other red tape that we need to go through to make it happen.
Yes, all right. Thank you.
Aretta, can I just add to my question that I asked you? You commented about the food.
You're on mute, Board Member Baldwin.
Yes, just please make it quick because we've got a few more people with their hands raised.
Yeah. I think when I first asked the nutrition department about this the last 2 years, it seemed like the dinner option was something that was asked of the principal if they wanted or didn't want. And I think we need to incorporate the community. It should not be on the principal if they want it or don't want it. It is actually available to many, many, many schools in APS. So please advocate.
So I think that's a matter of just the autonomy of our principals and their leadership. You know, it is their building. And so it would be nice to have their buy-in, but we'll talk about that more later. Thank you.
Right. These are federal funds for students for nutrition.
Thank you. Okay.
Not a principal.
We'll pick. Okay. Thank you. Understood.
All right. Thank you, Dion. Our next speaker is Mr. Williams. Good afternoon, Akeem.
Hey, how y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Oh, all right. So I had a few concerns. One I had already sent in, a few I had sent in about safety and security. I mean, not safety, yeah, the public safety on DL Hollowell, Westlake, and kids getting across over to Kip Woodson. I don't know if administration had a update on that. My other concern would be right now around the redistricting Kip Woodson as well. And then my third concern would be around the suspension rates and seeing what we can do around stability, building stability with our transient students, particularly at Boyd and Kip Woodson.
Okay, I'm gonna start backwards. So with the working with the transient rate and student behaviors, it may be beneficial for you to have a conversation with Chelsea, who is over our student services. I believe both of those fall. Chelsea, I always mess up her last name. Is it Montgomery? Okay, Chelsea Montgomery. She would be a good contact to reach out to about that. Regarding Woodson Park and the conversations around those rezonings, Travis would be your connect to have a conversation with. The safety conversation that you raised regarding the intersection of Westlake and Donald E. Hollowell, I have sent that to Dr. Battle. So I'm not sure if anyone on the team, if it's gotten to them yet in terms of what do those next steps look like and what do those conversations look like. And then I also have sent you some information just in regards of relationship building with KIPP Metro and the Go Team. Make sure if you can that, you know, now is Go Team voting, Woodson Park has a Go team because they are APS partnership, so they should have a Go team. And so that would also be a good place. I'm not sure if I addressed all of the things that you mentioned.
Yes, and I have just one more concern as well. The other concern would be at the charter schools, and I just want to know, I know that their nutrition is different. With APS pulling their nutrition in-house, does that also say that the partner schools and charter schools are also going to have APS nutrition at their schools? Or how does that work?
Not the charter schools. And I don't think so. If it's how it works with Purpose Built handles their own nutrition. And they actually brought their nutrition in-house already. I believe Kip Metro handles their own nutrition, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I don't know. I do not know. I don't think so, but I would have to ask. I'm pretty sure they're separate, but don't hold me to that. I'm gonna get back to you on that one.
Okay.
We good, Akeem? Oh, I also want to acknowledge that Keem is now education chair of the Grove Park neighborhood, as well as you have another role as well in Grove Park. What is that?
Yes, I'm also the secretary for the neighborhood association, the chair of education.
All right, congratulations.
All right, congratulations, Akeem. Our next speaker is Mother Mamie. And Cindy and Nate, before we go back to you guys for second round, we're gonna
cannot hear.
Good morning, good afternoon, Miss Mother Mamie.
Good afternoon, Mother Moore.
Did you all call on me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't hear. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you all. You know, Representative, the opportunity provides itself for me to speak to the Hollis Middle School closure idea that's being floated in the community illegally. Two things. One, I'm very impressed by the fact that there is movement for a master plan. I don't understand why there is this one hand, we're moving for a master plan, and on the other hand, we're making moves. So if you could speak more to the nature of the master plan and why everything is not being held in place for that. The second thing is that the 2016 or 2021 contract between APS and the state of Georgia clearly outlines and provides a Go Team handbook, and there are contractual provisions for the primacy of the Go Team. Is a place where you start with these kinds of structural, curriculum, activity, etc., directions that are being placed. And I know you're thinking around the reality of these things. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I'm in agreement. I am in agreement that I believe we need to look at this overall. We need to look at the challenges that APS has facilities wise overall. Because doing one-off changes, we could just be making changes that would have to be made later. So I agree with the strategic approach, and I agree that the Go team should be intimately involved in the conversation.
Thank you so much. And the regulation, the contractual piece does not say intimately involved. It says primary. I don't know if you've looked
primarily.
At the word.
I'm sorry, I just used that my own word. So primary.
You know, it places that's primary in the contract. Okay, so thank you very much. I heard that you are making administrative recommendations, and it sounds to me like this is a window of opportunity for you to make an administrative and a board recommendation on this basis. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mother Moore. As mentioned, we're gonna move to Miss Ayana. The time is 12:56, and so We will get Miss Ayana and then Nate and Miss Cindy, if you could be very brief in your follow-up just so we can be respectful of everyone's time. Good afternoon, Ms. Ayana.
Hello, sorry about that. I was trying to unmute. Good afternoon, community, and thank you all for hosting this meeting. I am a parent of an M. Agnes Jones Scholar, and I also sit on the education committee for WEND, which is the West End Neighborhood Development. It's an organization, focused on centering community voices in determining actions within our community. And so the education committee looks at primarily the 3 district schools of MAJ, Brown, Herman J. Russell, and Washington, and being a voice to be able to get information from the schools to the community. One of the concerns that some members of our community and the education committee have is around MAJ, the trash that tends to be just outside the gate and fenced area of MAJ's back, like the yard where the children play. Of course, being that it's the sidewalk right there, there are also a number of children who pass there going and coming and going to school, coming from and going to school. And so right now we're looking at the possibility of applying some grant funds towards the cleanup of those areas. But I just wanted to know if I could get a little more info on how maintenance of the area around a school works. Of course, you certainly couldn't go, a mile out radius from a school, but if it is, an area directly behind a fence, or on the sidewalk, that's circling the block of the school, like how does APS manage the maintenance of those grounds? And is there a way or a department we could reach out to see if they could better support the cleaning up of that area on a regular basis? So that's one question. And then the second is in terms of Hollis and the possible merging, we know that Hollis has used, the Hollis scholars and families and have had to use Herman J. Russell's campus before, and it was not a positive when it came to school culture. And so in thinking about the voices and the opportunity to give input, is there a formal breakdown? Like I just heard the previous speaker speak about the term primary. Is there a breakdown in terms of the weight of input from community versus perhaps the voice of the school leaders that would be impacted? Or, how is that weighted? And lastly, how can we get a formal recommendation to you, Ms. Baldon, about the community's, a recommendation for that possible merge?
Okay, thank you for your engagement, and hopefully I took notes appropriately. So the first thing was clean up around schools and how is that managed? So yes, that would be a question for operations. So that would be Larry as well. And I'm going to send an email asking the question, but if someone could drop Larry's email in there for us, so Ayana could also send a direct email to him with the question in terms of how is that managed and what does it look like in terms of managing it. So you also had a question in regards to how do you as an organization provide a formal point of view on what's happening. I would say you would participate in the conversations. You could send something directly to Travis and copy me as well, but also participate in the conversations. You have a point of view, but make sure the point of view is recommended in the conversations. So with the problem can also come a solution, right? So if we know that X is going to be a problem, then we could talk about what the solution could look like ahead of time, or alternatively, a completely other idea. So don't just submit something in writing and then walk away from it, but please just become engaged in the conversation. In terms of how our voice is weighted, there's not a formula that says 30% parents, 20% staff, 10%. Like there is no formula. It's really a matter of just making sure that your voice is included in the conversation. Certainly student voice is very important to me. Parent and community voice is important as well. Definitely want to know about the people that it's directly impacting. Also want to hear about, from the folks who are indirectly impacted. So all engagement is welcome. Make sure administration gets it, and you can copy me on it as well. Did I answer your questions, Ms. Dunstan?
You did, yes, thank you.
Okay, Nate, we're over. Do you have a question or do you just have a comment?
Yeah, just a quick comment to Ms. Dunstan.
Okay, no. I just wanted to know, was it a question or a comment?
Well, it's just a quick comment. Yeah, it'd be
And
like
I
a
was
minute.
gonna say too before you go, Nate, Miss Cindy, I don't know, I saw your hand go down. So if you did have any additional feedback, I was asking you.
Only thing I wanted to know was
But hold on,
when.
hold on, Miss Cindy.
Not yet, Cindy. We're gonna go to Nate first. We just saw that your hand went down.
Yeah.
So Nate, real quick, can you?
We're in with you, Miss Cindy. Go ahead, Nate.
Okay. Yeah, to Ms. Dunstan's point, yeah, that was a horrible experience. The community voted. That was 2011 when we said that plan was not going to work to put the children over there in Brown. There was no transitioning. But the solution that we were looking for is a bell schedule. If you have the elementary students coming at 7:45 to 2:15, the middle school 9:15, 4:15, that would be a solution where the children won't be missing any instruction. Like you mentioned
And I believe
earlier,
that. Okay.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier about the different entrances, that's a quick solve. And as far as another component is transportation, because you're going to need bus routes for each one of those separations, which is going to need volunteers, routes, and then, of course, safe routes and hazard busing. And finally,
okay, thank you.
There's a board meeting on May the 6th that we're going to go downtown and let the board and everybody know we are totally against it. May the 6th. So put it on your calendars. I'll put my email
so
in
yes,
the
meeting. Yes, the meeting is on May 6th.
Thank you for interrupting.
No. Thank you. And the meeting is on May 6th. Please note that we will not be voting on anything, but we definitely will welcome your input on May 6th as well as any other day. Sign up time is at 5 o'clock. It's an hour before the board meeting, so make sure you sign up to speak. Miss Cindy, we'll close with you.
All I wanted to know was when are the meetings at Hollis for the talking about Hollis and Harmon J. Russell?
There will need to be a new schedule developed. I believe the schedule that they were working off of they have run through it. So I'm waiting for when those next meetings will be. Oh, wait a minute. Travis has said you can find.
Oh no, I was answering another question, but I can answer.
Oh,
so we've taken all the information, feedback that we've received so far, and we have an internal meeting this week to kind of go through all of it. Just like someone said, how do you know what feedback is weighed and what level? So we're going to look at all of that this week. And so depending on what comes out of that conversation, we'll have more engagement, or we share what the next steps are one way or another, because we have to work to improve Hollis and H.J. Russell, whether it's this idea or another idea. So looking forward to continue conversations.
So make sure you send any ideas like around transportation, separate entrances, new bell schedules, any of those. If those weren't already captured, make sure that you send those and that administration has those. So I thank everyone for joining us. I love the passion. I love the engagement. I look forward to seeing you guys next month. It looks like 12 o'clock was a winner. So we may do 12 again next month and then go from there. Thank you again, everyone. Make it a great week.
All right. Your exit ticket is away.
Be blessed.